Wow, after such an introduction, I don't know what to say. So I'll try and think of things to say anyway. First of all, thank you to Kלכליסט and to the organizers, to our friends from the UK. Thank you for having us, and to our friends from Israel. Shalom וברוכים הנמצאים. My name is Itai Levensson, and I'm from Rewalk Robotics. I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce my company to you and to show you something that you may have not ever seen before. Rewalk is an innovative medical device company. We are designing, we're developing, and we're bringing to market exoskeletons that allow people in wheelchairs to get up and out of their wheelchairs. They can walk, they can stand, they can even go up and down stairs. One of the previous speakers spoke about missions. We have a mission as well, and you can see it here before you. Our mission is to fundamentally change quality of life for people who have lower limb disabilities. And we want to do that via the creation and the development of really market-leading, cutting-edge robotic technology. And as you listen to that vision, that mission, and many companies frame those missions, they put them in the door, near the door, so everyone that comes to work, every employee, every visitor really knows what that company is about and what their mission is. And as you see our mission before you, you may think that we're pretty crazy. In Hebrew we have a word called chutzpah. I don't know how to translate that. Maybe it's audacious to think that we can do something like that. But I think that if you listen to this presentation, and if you look and see some of the pictures and hear some of the stories about our product and the people who are using it, I think that you will agree with me that we have a very good chance to come close to achieving that mission or achieving it full stop. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to introduce the inventor of the Rewalk and the founder of our company, Dr. Amit Goffer. Dr. Amit Goffer is a prolific scientist, an entrepreneur, an engineer, and a really nice guy. He happens to be quadriplegic. As you can see in the picture, he was injured in 1997. He was in an ATV accident, and his life changed. And I remember Dr. Goffer telling me once that when he came home after being hospitalized, he stopped taking some of his medications, and his clarity came back to him. And he began to ponder and to ask himself, well, why are wheelchairs really the only solution for people who are living with spinal cord injury? Why has technology evolved so much? I mean, look at our phones. Look at our cars. Look at everything that surrounds us in technology. It has evolved so much, but wheelchairs are really just chairs with wheels, and they've been around for many, many hundreds of years. So he began to work on what would become Rewalk, or the company Rewalk Robotics, and what would become the Rewalk Exoskeleton. Now, whenever you want to start a business, if you're an entrepreneur and you have something that you think you can do, it's really important to try and identify the need. Because there's a lot of examples of people who have come up with really, really great ideas, but they really didn't have anyone to sell them to. So I think Dr. Goffer, when he tried to understand what the need, and you can understand that he was very well prepared and very well capable of understanding the need, he understood that living with paraplegia, living in a wheelchair, comes hand in hand with many secondary medical consequences. When you see someone in a wheelchair, you may think, well, he can't walk. But that really is only the tip of the iceberg. And there are many, many medical challenges and complications that all turn into expenses. Things like difficulty with bowel management and urinary tract infection. Things like osteoporosis. Things like gaining weight and losing muscle mass. Resistance to insulin. Increased heart disease. These are all side effects of living with paralysis. Now, when you take that and you marry that with the fact that the vast majority of these people go home. Almost 90% of the people with spinal cord injury are discharged from the hospital and they go home. And that leaves us with a distinct need, and that's some type of product or solution that can address these healthcare costs, but can also be used independently in the home. And that, I think, was really what guided Dr. Goffer in his endeavor to what would become Rewalk. Now, the solution that our company proposes to this need is what we call the Rewalk Exoskeleton. And as you can see here pictured before you, this was a device designed to fundamentally improve quality of life and to allow people to really get back into society. The person you see pictured before you is Robert Wu. And Robert is an architect, and he was injured on ground zero when a very heavy piece of equipment fell on his trailer. And he, like many other paraplegics around the world, were told that he would never walk again. But you can see here Robert walking independently in the streets of Boston with his lovely wife Vivian. And please note that he's not tethered, he's not tied, he's not being held by anyone or helped by anyone. He's being held by Vivian, but I don't know that that really counts. He was injured in 2007, and in 2011 he regained all of his mobility back. I'd like to talk a little bit about the device and And you need to understand that this is a disruptive technology. There simply wasn't a prototype that we could go and have a look at, or something that we could buy. For example, the computer was a proprietary made computer that we'd had to build it from scratch. We couldn't go to the store and buy it. We couldn't download the software from some app or some cloud service. One of the biggest challenges was battery power. And Dr. Goffa, when he envisioned Rewalk, he envisioned a device walking without a truckload of batteries tied behind it, allowing the person to use the device. So we had to go out and invent a battery pack which would enable all-day use. The device is completely self-supporting. The user doesn't need to bear the weight. And that's important for another reason, for a number of reasons. First of all, some people don't have the strength to support the unit. And to tell you the truth, if they had to support it, they'd probably just become really fatigued and tired and wouldn't be able to walk, wouldn't be able to use it all day, and that would be detrimental to our mission. The device enables the user to stand up, to walk, to turn, to maneuver stairs, to go up and down stairs all by themselves. And it does that by, with motors and transmissions and gears that are embedded in the joints. We have motorized hip and knee joints, and we have mechanical ankle joints which enable this gait pattern. Our device is by far the most customizable exoskeleton on the market, and the best way to talk about why that's important is to compare it to a pair of shoes. Think of a pair of shoes that was maybe very expensive and very nice, but they didn't fit you well. You might get a blister, you might get some irritation. You won't wear those shoes despite the fact that they were very nice and they were very expensive. And it's no different in the world of exoskeletons. The device that we have before you today is something that has been designed to be used independently. You can put it on, you can take it off by yourself, and you can use it inside and you can use it outside. It's not limited to the confinement of a hospital or a home. Now, with the time left, I'd like to introduce a friend and colleague, Mr. Daniel Tim. And Daniel is an accountant. And in addition to being an accountant, he's a rewalker. And we're very fortunate for him to be with us today, and Daniel's going to demonstrate the device. So, Daniel, good luck.
Now what you're seeing is Daniel interfacing with the device. So he's wearing a remote control on his hand, and that's how he communicates. Those of you who might have heard there was a beep and a buzz, and that indicates that the device has acknowledged Daniel's request to stand up, and it stood him up. And now he's been transformed from wheelchair user status to crutch user status. Daniel, by the way, is paralyzed, completely paralyzed from the waist down as a result of a parachuting accident. Now, it's not enough to stand up. We need to walk. So as you're going to see, Daniel will give the device a command via the remote control, and by gently tilting his upper body, he's going to trigger a step. Every additional step will be triggered by an additional tilt. And as you watch Daniel walking, which is amazing, please note that he's actually interfacing with the device every time by slightly tilting his body forward. We have a special sensor on the device that can read this tilt and react by generating a step. And this is important because it gives the user complete control of the device. It wouldn't be viable for us to have some kind of pre-programmed route in which we would ask the device to get from point A to point B, simply because many times we don't know that we want to get from point A to point B, and we change our minds. So by implementing this technology, we've allowed the user to have complete control of the device. When he wants to walk, he tilts his body forward and he walks. When he wants to stop, he simply stops tilting his body and the device will stop walking. It's a very smart way of talking about interface and allowing the user to command and control the device at all times. Keep in mind that he's using crutches, so he doesn't have the option to press a button to type in a command. So by implementing this technology, we're able to solve that hurdle. Now, another thing that I want to point out as you watch Daniel walking is his gait pattern. Now, the gait pattern is a smart way of saying the way we walk. And what we've been fortunate enough to be able to do is develop a gait pattern which we believe really mimics the way an able-bodied person walks. And that's very important for a number of reasons. The first one are the medical benefits that we can get by simply walking in the most natural format that we walk. And as you notice, you can see it's a little bit dark, but his heels strike, his hips and knees moving in unison to provide a very natural gait pattern. So we really believe that that natural gait pattern will be able to allow people like Daniel using the device to feel better, to need less rehab, to have less hospitalization, and to get back into society. In addition, that natural gait pattern is very similar to the way we walk. And when you think about it, we just get least tired walking the way we walk. If we were walking in an abnormal gait pattern, we'd become tired, we'd become fatigued, we'd walk less. In the world of exoskeletons, it's no different. By having a non-natural gait pattern, we're going to exert a lot more energy, and the device is going to be able to walk less. Signaling that I've spoken too much time, so please check our website, rewalk.com. A lot more information is available. Thank you very much.